Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me all?
Walaikum assalam warahmatullah.
Sorry for the trouble, technical issues we are facing. So, we're actually providing best engineering solution in the Chittagong and the automation servicing. Beside that, we are providing internship opportunities and some engineering training. This is our a portion of running courses. This is our lab, and I would like to switch to the audience. This is the first hour research webinar that was held in the last year on August. So this is the part one, impactful research publications and guideline. So I would like to invite our honorable advisor, Engineer Said Ahmad Sir. He's the senior digital transformation consultant of TDM management consultant, and also the CEO of Samas International Company. Sir, please, I would like to invite Sir, if you're here.
Salam. Alaikum.
And plant patent. Let's say design patent is the one if you design something novel, like try to provide design of a new antenna, like wireless antenna, then this will be a design patent. Similarly, utility patents and plant patents are something conference article and technical reports. Journal articles are the ones which gets published in different sort of journals. Let's say there are multiple publishers such as they have their specific journals categorized to them. Then there are conference articles and technical reports. From the books, there are like book chapters and technical book chapter and survey book chapters. Like in the books, there one is the authored book that a person write complete book itself. The other one is the edited book. Edited book means that your others are contributing to the book, and the editor is managing whether this specific chapter belongs to the book or not. Peer review process, and and others publish their book chapters in these edited books. And the book chapter could be a technical contribution or could be a survey contribution. So from the perspective of research articles, let's say if we discuss about journals. So journals, there are magazines. Let's say if you have a visionary idea, where you say that if we integrate these two things, the outcome will be very substantial and will contribute to the scientific society. So normally try to, and you have not carried out a thorough amount of experiments over there. So in that case, you try to publish your idea in magazines such as IEEE Communications Magazine or IEEE Computers Magazine. So you try to publish your work in a magazine. Then there are transactions. Let's say your idea was amazing and you have some very good experimental outcomes of that idea, and you have done a core technical contribution from both simulations perspective and from theoretical perspective as well. Then you try to publish your work in transactions. So transactions contribution into 4 pages. The rest are the normal journals, like all other sort of technical works, survey works, and visionary articles publishing. Even the normal say categories. Then there is scientific patent, as I discussed earlier. Design patent, like if you design something novel, some design of a building or furniture, then it comes in the design patent. Then there's utility patent, where if you create something or you invent something, let's say you implemented some new research direction or machine design. These utility patents are more related to us. Then the third one are the plant patents, which are more related to the plants and biology-based inventions. Then these are some of the other categories of research articles. Previously, I discussed about the journal articles. Now these are other research articles. Let's say some are published in conferences. We normally try to publish in conferences in order to timely disseminate our work. Let's say if you have carried out experimentation and you say that you want to disseminate this work, and then you'll be working over write up of an extended version for some journal. So just 6-page paper, and you try to publish in some conference. Some of the conferences are very highly ranked as well. Like they are even higher ranked as compared to certain transaction and journals. But normally, majority of the conferences are like you publish some short work for timely dissemination, and then you publish the extended version of your work to a specific journal. Then there are poster, like short poster presentations, short poster articles, 2 pages or even less than that. And there are some technical reports. Let's say you have done your thesis, you have done your project, and you want to publish it as a technical report. So these are published in institutes usually. So then these are the books I discussed earlier, that there are authored books, edited books, and the book chapters. So these are the books where you can publish. So to conclude the discussion about research paper, there are technical papers, survey papers, transaction articles, and other types. Technical paper where we can give technical contribution. Survey paper where we provide an in-depth survey of all our the technical contributions happened till now. Let's say if you want to work over a survey of machine learning algorithms for medical data, you this data has been published already. But yeah, if you want to work with this, you will collect all the papers of a specific domain, arrange them and categorize them in a way to provide the reader a complete overview that what has happened so far. And even if you want to publish some visionary idea, you can publish as a survey article as well alongside magazines. But you need to have a substantial amount of research over that specific field. The third ones are transaction, like pure technical articles where you publish in-depth contributions. The fourth ones are magazines, letter, and technical reports. So these are the discussions for the type of research papers or research articles, and just the basic ones. If there's any question, you can ask me and stop me in the middle as well. That's just fine. And then there's a peer review process. So whenever you publish, you submit your work in a journal, in a conference, in a book. It goes through a standard peer review process, which is basically designed to assess the quality and validity of your work. Let's say whether the work which you are submitting as a journal article or as a conference article, whether it's good enough or not, like it's of a good quality that matches to the quality of the articles being published in that specific journal or not. If yes, then there are usually they give major revision to address certain comments, and then after going through certain review, your article gets published. If it's not, then your article may get rejected, so you can try some other ways so after improving the quality. So like you can try some journal. Some journals allow to what do you say, submission even after rejection, but some journals, let's say for example like IEEE Communication Service, once the article gets rejected over there, you cannot resubmit it to the same article to the same journal again. So there are different type of peer reviewing processes as well. One is single blind peer review, where the authors know who are the reviewers who are authors, but the authors do not know who are the reviewers, like who are the people who are going to review their work. So it is a single blind peer review. Basically, this is to ensure that the authors do not try to contact reviewers, or do not try to follow any predatory practice, like try to influence the outcome of their review. So this is single blind review, and this double blind review are where neither the authors nor the reviewers know each other. Like all the names and affiliations of are hidden even from the article as well. So moving towards that, these are some of the basic guides that what exactly is like how research is categorized into different ways. So what exactly is research and how you should do it? So the actual question that I'll start the discussion with, the discussion about this specific topic, is that what's more important, quantity or quality. So the essence of research, I guess there's a chat. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So what's more important, quantity or quality? So the essence of research is to invent something new. Like the essence is to think of something that is completely different manner. Let's say research is not about just like repeating the same experiment again and again, or just changing few variables and publishing a new article or something similar. The essence is to invent something new. For example, like there are multiple papers that have changed the direction completely, and there are multiple papers that have invented a new field. For example, just to name a few, uh, this was the article by Professor John Nash, like who started a new direction in the game theory, and he won a Nobel Prize because of his research in 1994. So because of this article, he did this work in during his PhD. Like he invented completely new directions of like forming equilibrium among people participating in a specific game. So then this is another article, example of an article X was in the air. This specific article from Professor Dina Katabi, Noel Medard, and John Procroft started a new field of network coding. So now you will see hundreds of articles on from this field, like originated a new field of network coding. Then this is Huffman coding. This the story behind this specific article or this specific direction is very interesting. It started as a student was given an assignment or a term paper to try different compression methods. So while working over that, he invented his own method, and that is known as the Huffman invented his own method, and that is known as Huffman coding nowadays, and it's being used till now. Like it was invented in 1952, and it's being used till now as well. So he started just a new field of research from an assignment, which normally just so, next is like this is the anatomy of a large-scale hypertextual web search engine. So this paper was the beginning of the Google search engine, Google search algorithm, that how Google will carry out search. Then the transistor, a semiconductor triode, like we all know about, like this paper gives uh, gave to the basic field, and these authors, Bardeen and Britton, along with Shockley, they won Nobel Prize in 1956 afterwards. So these are some of the examples that what we can do with research. We can start a new field, and we can even like it's not compulsory that you should be a very highly reputed researcher to start a new field. Anyone can do it. So there's no like and with consistency. So we never know that what's going to change or start a new direction. So that's what the pathway is. In fact, quality is more important than quantity, but it should be with consistent outcomes. So we should be doing all these things and leave the rest of the outcomes to the Almighty. So moving further towards some basic guidelines for research, it depends upon what exactly you want to do in your career. Let's say if you are interested in working in wireless communication, and if you go to some random person, he can suggest you, okay, nowadays network coding is in progress, or any other specific thing is a hot topic nowadays. So it's good to listen, it's good to take advice from seniors, but you should also know that what you are more interested in. Try to figure out the topic, but just don't randomly decide any topic that you just studied one blog post someday and you say that from tomorrow I'll be working over this specific thing. No, try to find out as much topics as possible, make your vision broad, and then choose one topic. So during this process, you can take guidelines from your seniors, especially your teachers, some senior researchers as well. try to make a list of topics you believe would be of interest to you. Like let's say you list blockchain, you list wireless communication, you list wireless sensor networks, and you list cybersecurity and all these things. So make a list of topics that you think you would be interested to work over, and then study the basics of these topics. Instead of first like moving to the complicated problem, don't start studying the technical works. Try to study the basics of these topics. Let's say try to study one survey article on each topic, try to read some blog posts from reputed sources, not from the random sources. And once you finalize some general research topic, let's say you say that, okay, I've from these 15 topics, I know these 3 or 4 are of my interest, or this is the direction that I want to work over, let's say blockchain. And you say that, okay, I want to work on blockchain, but I don't know how to find a research problem and what are the next steps. So here the literature review comes in. So this is the literature review. For literature review, there's a specific rule that I follow, and even my supervisor suggested me. That is like we normally have LIFO last in first, then there's there's GIGO, which is garbage in, garbage out. So if your input for the research is not good and you are studying some random sources or some predatory journals or some articles from some bogus journals, the output will not be good. So always try to study from the pioneering journals or the pioneering works, pioneering conferences, and some of the you need to find top researchers of your field. Let's say you need to check out which people are working in this specific domain. For the sake of discussion, I'll just take the example of blockchain for the rest of the talk. Let's say if you want to find out who are the top people who are working in this specific domain, you name a few. Let's say you name Professor Dusit Nyato, Dr. Ramani, and Lajo Senzo, or some other people, Professor Richard Yu. So like you find out top researchers of your field and you see that what they are doing. Like you need to check their DBLP profile, Google Scholar profile, researcher ID profile, and all these things. I'll discuss about these things afterwards as well. And sometimes try to check out the labs that are working over. Let's say you want to check the labs of MIT. There are like distributed ledger technologies sections or labs which have been formed for blockchain and similar research in KAIST, in MIT, in Harvard, in Oxford, even in University of Melbourne and other places. So, and check the profile of the students of these labs, like what are the top researches which are field. For example, in blockchain, first find out which people are working in a specific domain, see if they are heading a lab or not, what is their profile, what are their collaborative work is something different as well. So then how I basically survey articles of that specific field from IEEE Explore, Science Direct, Springer Link, Google Scholar, and all other databases where I can pick, let's say, ACM, Digital Library, or certain other. So I go through all these survey works, try to study them from a surface level, not in depth. Like you should not, because every survey article is at least 20 to 30 pages or even more. So you cannot study 50 articles. You cannot study each and everything. So I try to do familiar with the field and to know what an article is discussing. So, and then do a scrutiny of these 50 articles and pick 8 to 10 survey articles from top journals or top researchers. Like these are the two things that I've discussed earlier. Other should be from a top journal, let's say IEEE Communication Service, ACM Computing Service, certain other reviews of elsewhere. So, like I pick at least 8 to 10 articles and study these articles completely. Like try to get yourself familiar with studying these survey articles, especially their challenges and future directions. Then afterwards, I try to move forward to studies, get some good technical references from these survey works. Let's say these, all of the survey works try to discuss technical works. So you can take technical references from these works and start studying these references. And afterwards, you can make a decision whether this specific field is good for you or not, or even if it's of your interest or not. Then for the literature review, try to make a plan as well that if you start studying even 8 to 10 survey articles and you will start reading and understanding each and every line, there's a possibility you'll spend 1 week for one article, and that will be like few months just for studying surveys, which is not a good approach. So try to make a plan that what exactly you want it for. Let's say you need to consider deadlines. For masters, it could be different. You need to submit your thesis within 18 months. So the path is a different thing. For PhD, that's different because you have to submit your thesis within 3 years, 4 years, depending upon where you are doing PhD. So try to consider deadlines, that what is your deadline, and then make your goal clear according to these deadlines. For example, if you have to submit your thesis within 18 months, then you have to make sure that your literature review part should not be more than 3 months. So at least you should be able to find a research problem within these 3 months. Because for masters, you just need one research problem in majority of the cases. Sometimes you need more, but usually you need just one research problem. For PhD, you need 3 to 4 or 5 research problems. So for PhD literature, you can be a bit more, let's say for 5 months, 6 months, depending upon what is your requirement and what sort. Let's say for the first week, you can say like you want to gather all the references, let's say 400, 500 references for that specific direction. Then you'll shortlist 20 to 30 references and try to study and understand their contribution, not the technical part. And like not the technical theoretical part or the simulations part, just try to understand what people are doing. Then you can take 4 to 5 articles out of these 20 to 30 articles, and then find out that these are the 4 to 5 top articles from the top journals, and then try to understand each and everything of these 4 to 5 articles to see what can be done, or to figure out that what are the research problems in there. And then or 2 references and try to enhance your work, enhance their work to produce your own good quality work, and then you will carry out your technical article. Just 1 or 2 references will be enough for you to your technical idea. So then these are the discussions like for the literature review. Now, how to find and analyze researchers. Um, Previously, I discussed all the fields because I'm from computer science and from electrical engineering. So my whole discussion will be a bit more oriented toward that, but it's not a fixed criteria for every field. So for figuring out some of the top researchers, we need to check their DBLB profile. DBLB profile is basically like where all the articles and transactions, like everything is ranked. So it's just like a database for the researchers working in, let's say, computer science or some other similar field, electrical engineering and engineering. Then you need to check their Google Scholar profile. I'll discuss about all these things in detail. That what to check in these specific profiles. Then check their web page as well. So from the perspective of DBLP profile, if you open DBLP and you write name of any researcher that you think of, the list of articles appears over, and you can check the articles. What you have to look for, you have to look for the articles which are published in, let's say, transactions or some of the top ranked journals. Transaction are like could be IEEE transaction, ACM transactions. Try to go for these two, not for, there are some other journals whose transactions are not very good, but they name their journals as transactions. So try to go search for IEEE and ACM transaction and some other transaction from certain other well-reputed publishers. And the field, but you need to know that what exactly are the top research journals of your field. In the previous talk, I've discussed these things in very much detail. That's why I'm just keeping this short from the journals perspective. It's a good research in your field or not. So you can also check their co-authors with who they are collaborating with. Sometimes people are collaborating with some of the top names, such as Professor John Crowcroft or Dina Khatabi, or these top names. So if someone is collaborating with top people, that means that he is a good researcher. So you can keep that person in your top researcher's name. Then you can analyze their Google Scholars profile, see their recent publications, what they are publishing recently. That will give you a recent idea about the research interest. Then check their highly cited article. A highly cited article means that which of the articles have been cited the maximum times. So study the top outcomes, of which means that this person has the best outcome. This is the best outcome of the specific researcher. Don't get impressed by the citations. That's not just the only criteria to judge quality of a research paper, but it's one of the criteria, definitely. Also means they are doing, what are their editorial position. If some person is admin chief IEEE transaction wireless communication or IEEE transaction communication or IEEE transaction started, then it means he's a very good researcher, because editors editor so editor is a highly novel you can say position. So you can check their editorial position. You can profile. So then these are the things how to analyze profile of a researcher. Then how to study a research paper. If there's any questions till now, you people can ask me. It's all good. Any questions till now? Okay. So okay, we'll move to a discussion further. So let's discuss about how to study a research paper. This is my approach, that how I try to study research papers. So first of all, you need to stay positive. Let's say if you have started studied research recently, it will be hard for you to study a large amount of literature all of a sudden. But you need to stay positive. It can take hours, it can even take days to study a single research paper. You can feel bored, that's fine. That's a normal thing. We all have a similar brain. So just stay positive and try to reduce the habit of reading blog posts. What we normally do, let's say if you want to study about some new field, some new direction, uh, instead of studying research papers, we try to study it from like random posts from internet, like from a random website. So it's not a good approach, because we don't know who is writing this specific blog. So try to reduce the habit of studying blog posts unless it's from some top ranked researcher. Let's say if Professor Dina Khatabi is writing some blog post, then you should definitely study it up, or the interview of a specific researcher in on a specific field. Find out top journals of your field. That what are the best journals, and so that you should always study the best outcomes, not the garbage. You can check the your fields at SciMag, like Scientific Magazine or JR, like JR list as well. So try to get insights that what are the top journals of your field. Make a goal that what exactly you want to extract from the article. Like you want to understand the algorithm, or you want to understand the problem, or what exactly is the real reason behind your you can say studying of this article, or you just want to get familiar with the field. So make sure you make you can say precise goal that what you want to extract from this studying. Then find a landmark paper if they are interesting. Like first, if you want to study about a field, make sure you study the basic article. Landmark papers means, let's say if you want to study about blockchain, you can study the article of white paper of Satoshi Nakamoto. If it's interesting, sometimes the landmark papers or the base papers are very boring or very theoretical that we cannot extract anything out of them. So in that case, just try to start from studying the survey papers first. If you are going to study a technical article, what I personally follow or what I usually recommend is like read and check the title to make sure what exactly is your goal. If you want to study a technical article, your goal should be different. Studying a survey article, the goal should be different. So try to read the abstract and visualize things that what should have been carried out in this article after on. So to get an idea that what exactly you will be presented with and what you will be able to extract from this article. Then what I personally do or at least I try to do in certain cases, that after reading abstract, I try to go to conclusion and to find out that whether the abstract and conclusion is coherent or not. For good journals, for good transaction, for good venues, it's fine. But for some random journals or some not good ranked journals, sometimes people start to work over abstract in a different way and the conclusions are completely different. So it makes, if these things are different, it gives an idea that the research is not very worthy to read, but you can still give it a go. Then the step two, get back to introduction. Like after reading the abstract and conclusion, get back to the introduction and try to study in deeply. Like you can check the related work section. You can skip related work if you are already familiar with the related work. Like let's say you have studied a lot of survey articles for that field, and you don't want to study about these things again and again, so you can skip it up. But it depends. Like if you don't need references, then you can skip. Otherwise it's good to read related work as well. Then go to the system model or the problem formulation or the adversary model. Try to study these things in detail, that what exactly they are presenting, and try to make notes of them, that what are their adversary model, what are their design goals. Try to read the description of figures and tables, and then study if you are more interested about these things, and skim through the solution. Like do not try to understand the theoretical contribution or the equations in the first go. Like don't try understanding the mathematics straight away. Try to figure out what they are doing and then check their results in the evaluation section, performance evaluation section. If they have given some code, try to study that up as well. Just try to run the code at this stage. Like this is just when you want to study one article, so you don't go into mathematics from the first go unless it's mandatory. And then after, when in the third step, let's say if you want to extract something further, so then you should be going to this article again and again. Let's say if you have selected that article as your base paper, then you can try to understand each and everything. Then afterwards, make sure to make notes, and don't especially if you're doing your PhD or if you're doing your masters, don't just say that I'll memorize it. You will not. You will forget it if after a day or two or 1 week or a month. So if you make notes of the thing that you are reading, it will be in your memory at least for a longer time, and you can get back to your notes anytime you want to. Like so you don't have to study the whole article again to extract just one point. Make notes even if it's only one paragraph, so it will give you good insights. Try to teach it to someone else, or at least discuss generally. Let's say if you have studied an article, you can discuss it with your friends, your colleagues, your supervisor, or if the best case scenario is with some expert, let's say, who's your supervisor, and try to understand the mathematics if required. Like if you want to say that this article is your base article and you want to break the mathematics and learn it up and improve this article further, then you can try learning different mathematical tools depending on what sort of mathematics or theoretical contribution is carried out in the specific article. Let's say if someone has carried out the probabilistic analysis, so studying about any other random let's say random matrix theory is not going to help you out. So try to study the specific mathematics, the field of that specific mathematics, which has been covered in that article. So type of, I'll just conclude with like some basic type of publications and some concluding words. So there are two types of publication: open access journals and the subscription based journal. Open access journals are open to all. They charge a very huge amount of money if you want to publish over there. Their reviewing process is a bit quick, some cases very quick, but there are certain issues related with these like open access journals as well. Let's say there are multiple opinions among the scientific community. I'm not saying that all open access journals are bad or like they are not good, one should not be publishing, but there are multiple opinions. There are some of the very good researchers, they try not to publish in these open access journals because of their reviewing process is very quick. Sometimes they compromise the quality. Even if you see the journals which have very good impact factor and have a very less review time, let's say 2 weeks. So they, sometimes such articles gets published over there which are not of the quality that specific journal. So and even some of the top ranked journals in computer science, electrical engineering, they are not open access. Let's say in computer science, all the transactions, they are not open access from IEEE. Then the survey journals, communication surveys, Asian computing surveys. So these are not open access journals. So um, and even Clarivate identified certain open access journals as predatory journals. Not all, but certain are ranked as predatory journals according to Clarivate, which is the body which indexes all these things. Then there are subscription-based journals. These are the limited access journals, like only subscribers can access the article which are published. They do not charge a single penny to you. Like you can publish your article free of cost. Then majority of the top ranked journals of a specific field are usually subscription based journals. There are certain issues associated with them as well, like they have very long review process. Most of the time their review process is very strict, like reviewers are usually given 40 days, 2 months to review a single article. So they have adequate amount of time to find out flaws in that specific article and do a good scrutiny that whether that specific article belong to the journal or not, whether it's of good quality or not. So I'm not saying that there is no compromised article or we can say no article which is of bad quality in subscription-based journal. Exceptions are always there, but generically, subscription-based journals publish more quality work as compared to open access journals. So it's highly recommended that we should try to go for subscription-based journals because they are free and they publish good quality works as well. Now, what are the do's and don'ts? Do's are published in reputed journals. You can check the impact factor of a journal
Sir,
from the rank. Yeah.
sir, I have a question actually.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it's really good to hear from you. And my question is actually some students, those who are really in a hurry to go in the abroad for the for higher studies. So as the open access journal, they're quicker the review process, and the subscription journal it takes time. So what they will which sector they will choose to have a quick research work for publication for the new students, those who are going to appear in the higher studies in abroad. So suppose for
Yeah.
myself, if I want to go, I have finished my masters, and I want to go for PhD. So I need 4 or 5 more research papers. Should I go for the subscription or in the open access, something like that?
First of all, I just want to add one thing over here that research papers are not compulsory to get scholarship. Like one can get a scholarship even without a research paper. I have seen a lot of such cases where people get the scholarship of PhD right after their bachelor's, even without any single research paper. So it's not compulsory to get a research paper. And secondly, if you go for if you try to contact some you can say good researchers of your field, they don't care about articles much. They care about what sort of quality work has been carried out in your previous you can say degree or in your previous research. If you are like able to convince them that you can do good quality research, they'll recruit you even without any research paper. And even if you say that you have got a research article and it's not published yet, it's fine. They will they can ask you to send your article that what you have done, and they can easily assess the quality. And secondly, you can upload your article on arXiv or IEEE repository, like certain repositories where you can showcase your article that this article has been submitted to that specific journal. So this is the case that if you have done good research, I would highly recommend to publish in subscription-based journals, not the open access journals. And that's not a good option. At least I would personally never suggest anyone to go for as an open access journal straight away. There's just one more case study that I would say, that if some student, like not just the open access journal, there are some very low rank conferences as well. If some student has very high number of publications in these, let's say if someone has 10 articles in low ranked conferences and 10 articles in journals which are not even recognized or do not even like have been like, or they are not even ranked as SCI journals, like they are not even indexed as well. So if someone has like these 20 articles in these venues, what we do in our group or some of the researchers that I know, they try not to recruit that person. Like they will say that we don't want this sort of researcher in our field because we have to reshape his way of thinking of doing research. Because when you go to like the top labs of your field, you will see that they are not running after papers. They some in some cases you will complete your PhD and you will hardly have 1 or 2 articles maximum. So they are not running, especially the good researchers, they are not running after the research papers. So they want it's better for them to take a student who has not done much research, so they can shape it accordingly. But a person who has done like 20-30 articles in some low ranked conferences or low ranked journals, then it's hard to shape their mindset because they have already done a subsequent amount of research. So I would recommend to publish in subscription based journals having good impact factor. Even if you have one publication, it will be very easy for you to get scholarship. Instead, you have 5 publications in some non-ranked journals which are not indexed or which are from not very good publishers. So one publication, even one good ranked publication from IEEE journal will be sufficient to get your scholarship. Even you can get scholarship of without that as well. But if you have that specific article, that will be a big plus.
Thank you, sir. Very insightful. I have another question. So, okay, if once I have done with my paper works, research works, all the plagiarism, so how do I know that yes, my research work is ready to go to submit in the subscription journal and ready to accept there? How do I know this that my paper is ready to submit there?
Usually, when
Like
we carry out
quality.
research,
Yes.
yeah. Usually, but when we carry out research, we try to carry out comparison with some of the recent state-of-the-art works from some good ranked journal. Let's say if you, just for the sake of example, if we say that if someone says that I've invented a car that has got 3 wheels, so everyone will ask that the car with the 4 wheel has been invented. So if you want to like do research in the cars, you need to make sure that the speed is good enough, that the accelerator and all the things that have been done in the research for the cars. You need to make sure your car is ahead of all these and all the cars that have been developed so far. But if you'll say that this thing is novel, nobody has a car with 3 wheels or 6 wheels, so nobody will believe you. So if you want to make sure that the research work that you have done is good enough, try to carry out a comparison with an article of that specific journal or a similar level journal where you want to publish your work. Let's say if you want to publish your work in IEEE Transaction on Smart Grid or IEEE Transaction on Services Computing, or IEEE TKD. So try to compare your work with some other work uh, published in a similar level of journal. Like if you want to compare, publish in some transaction of IEEE, try to make sure that the work that you are carrying out your comparison with is from another journal of IEEE at least, or elsewhere at least. So when you make sure that your work is ahead of that specific work, that will improve your chances of getting accepted over there.
So thank you, sir, for your answers. Please carry on for the best.
Thank you so
You're
much.
okay, sir.
Yeah, and some of the do's and don'ts that I was discussing. So make sure to publish in well-ranked, reputed journals. Quality is more important than quantity that I've discussed earlier. Always give your 100% in the research and only publish when it's of the best quality. Like you can keep on improving, even if you get a rejection from a journal or conference, you can improve your work, and you can try to enhance your work further according to a reviewer comment. Like nobody rejects the article saying that this article is not good enough. They usually give comments. Like reviewers give comments that you can enhance this specific thing in your work. You can enhance the theoretical aspect. You can enhance the comparison, or you can add more references. Like they give comments. They do not just directly reject your work. So try to improve your work by following the reviewer suggestion if it gets rejected. Then don't just publish for the sake of publication. Try to make sure that you are contributing to the scientific society, because some of the examples that I've discussed earlier, you never know when a specific article is going to hit the scientific society in a different manner. You can maybe you can start a new field someday, and try to learn the process, because this is a complete process. Like if even if your research is very good and you have not presented it in a good manner, um, it will be hard to get it published. Let's say if you have done a research of a level of IEEE transactions, and you are just presenting some what do you say, like some experimental results work, and you are not writing it properly, even that article will not get published, because you are not presenting in the way required to that specific journal. Let's say for IEEE communication service, the write-up style is different. For IEEE transaction smart grid, you only need to write 8 pages. You cannot not write more than 8 pages. So every journal or transaction has their own write-up style. So try to learn the process and never give up, because rejection is a part of process. We all get rejections from the journals. So some of the don'ts, like never publish in bogus journals, never publish in low rank journals, never publish in predatory conferences, predatory journals, predatory publishers. You will find a list of all the predatory publishers and journals. And try not to publish in with low rank publisher. There are certain publishers which are low ranked. Try not to publish with them, and try to avoid publishing in open access journals. I'm not saying open access journals are bad. I'm not saying that it's not a good thing to publish over there, but we should try to publish more in the subscription based journals rather than open access. And the last thing is never give up. So that's all from my side. And thank you again for inviting me. If there are any questions, you can ask me. I'll be happy to answer and discuss. And you can even email me afterwards as well at muneebmh1@gmail.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you to our keynote speaker, Muneeb Ul Hassan, sir. Really appreciate your efforts for us. Actually, I really thank you again for the insightful session. Hope that everyone will be get benefited. So this is a question answer session. If anyone has any question, you can ask. Don't lose this opportunity. You can ask in Bengali. I will translate it to our honorable sir. Anyone there? Any question? Feel free to ask. This is the chance. Okay, sir. If there is no question from the audience, I have one question actually. Lots of students and friends, I got asked about regarding IEEE journals, and the difference between the IEEE access, IEEE transactions. So if they have a paper, so where should they publish the paper? Which one they should choose? The transaction, transaction, IEEE access. I just want to know the difference among them.
IEEE is a publisher basically, and it has got a lot of journals under his umbrella. It could be like IEEE Access is one of the journal of the, what do you say? I guess hundreds of journals of IEEE. I'm not 100% sure how many journals IEEE have, but let's
Something like
assume 100. So IEEE Access is just one of the journal about all the journals that IEEE have. I guess the IEEE has 171 journals or something. So um, mm, so IEEE Access is one of the journal. So if you want to publish your work, try to make sure that you publish in the specified journal. Let's say if you have contributed to something in the wireless communication, try to publish in the journals related to wireless communication. Let's say IEEE transaction on wireless communication, IEEE transaction on communication, IEEE transaction on networking. And if you have contributed to something, let's say in cybersecurity, try to publish in IEEE Transactional Information Security or Transactional Information Forensics and Security, like all these journals. So, and as far as the transactions are concerned, transactions require very high quality output from the technical idea, where normally two or three things are required. One thing is like a transaction require good technical contribution. It should have a good theoretical aspect as well, like you need to do theoretical modeling as well. Then you need to have a good simulation outcome. You need to compare and like you need to provide full-fledged simulation outcome. Let's say you cannot just write up some equation in MATLAB and publish your work. uh, Exceptions are always there depending on the nature of the work, but usually. And the third thing is comparison with the most recent work. These three things are required usually in the transaction. So whenever you work for a technical work, these and you want to publish your work in a good transaction, these three things will be required. Then there are certain other journals of IEEE such as IEEE Network, IEEE Systems Journal, IEEE IEEE Access, and certain other journals. So these are the journals which publish technical works as well, survey works as well, but they are not as high ranked as transactions. So transactions are for the pure technical work or the pure contribution that is much in-depth contribution, and then and then there are journals and IEEE Access and certain other journals such as Open Journals of Computer Society, Open Journals of Communication Society, OJCS. So these are the open access journals, and then the others are subscription-based journals. So IEEE Access is not a very well reputed. When it started, it was a very highly ranked journal among the researchers, but due to its review process, it's not recognized as a very good journal. If you see the recent updates, I guess China has banned IEEE Access, IEEE not IEEE, IEEE Access. Like it has banned that they don't want any more publications from that specific journal. Like they won't recognize it as a journal. And certain other places have also like have their own issues with the IEEE Access. So I would not recommend publishing in IEEE Access. It will not be a very good idea, but I will not say that it's very bad, but it's not recommended at all. That's what I would say.
Very specific. Thank you, sir. So we've got a question from the audience. So this is Faisal Uddin. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Can you suggest some topics or some recent works related to cyber physical systems?
Walaikum salam, alhamdulillah. And cyber physical systems is a very broad field. Um, it's hard to recommend some topics. Let's say cyber physical systems comprise of IoT, and then there's electric vehicles, then there's smart grid, then there's healthcare systems, industrial IoT, and all of these specific things have their subtopics. Let's say in smart grid, you have real-time billing, you have real-time reporting, then you have energy trading. In industrial IoT, you have manufacturing things, supply chain related stuff. In healthcare, you have healthcare IoT, like all these things. So it's very hard to suggest any specific topic, but indeed, cyber physical systems is a good direction to work over. You can study all the sub directions of cyber physical systems. Some of them which I've mentioned earlier: IoT, healthcare, electric vehicles, smart grid, industrial IoT, and all these things. So you can try studying from there, and then keep on like making a bit more specific rather than being rather than generalizing the things. So try to pick one specific domain, then study the articles, some direction of that specific domain. So that's what I can recommend, because it's a very generic question.
Thank you, sir. So anyone there with any question? Okay, so sir, what another suggestion for the audience? I think they don't. Most of them they're at the beginner, and they don't, maybe they don't understand what to question, what to ask actually. So to begin their research work, so what tools, softwares they need to be skilled in for the writing and modeling purpose, and the plagiarism checking. Most of them they use the Mendeley to knit in. So what software would you suggest to be skilled in for the research platform?
There's no compulsion in that. It depends upon the field. Like for the write up of the articles, I would recommend using LaTeX. Like LaTeX is a tool to organize your research in the best way. That's what I would say. LaTeX is and nowadays there's Overleaf which you can use online as well. So you can and for the references there are multiple ways like Mendeley and others as well. So you can even use JabRef. So like it's not compulsion. Some people even try to work over the Microsoft Word to write research papers, but I would recommend using LaTeX for the write up. And for plagiarism, Turnitin is, I guess, the only art, uh, software which is available. There are multiple others, but I'm not sure how effective they are. Even if you have written everything yourself, I believe you won't even need Turnitin. Like if you know that you have done your own experiments, your works are good, your results are good, and you have written everything yourself. Like you have not copied any lines from somewhere, and if you have taken the idea from somewhere, you have just cited it up. So I don't think you even need Turnitin. But for the plagiarism check, I would say that Turnitin is the only way forward. That's what I believe. But you need a subscription from your institute. That's a tough thing. But overall, it's the way forward. For other simulations and all other things, it depends upon the field what you are working over. Let's say if you are working in networks, you need to have understanding of certain network simulators. If you are working in the power engineering, you need to know some other software such as ETAP and other softwares which will be required. So that depends upon the field. However, generically, I would recommend to have a good knowledge of programming. Like let's say you need to learn at least one language of programming that will help you throughout your life. For example, C++ or Java. C++ is easy. I guess majority of the students at least take certain courses while doing their engineering as well. So learning C++ will or any other programming language will be a good addition. Let's say if they want to work over anything similar in their masters or in their PhD, that will help them out. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay, so thank you. If is there anyone to ask any question, or we'll just move to the happy ending? Uh, okay, I think there is no one. For the why we're arranging this actually, so for the audience, you should remember if you have a research paper publication in a journal, that means you have the contribution in international scientific community to explore more science phenomena and push up the science in another step forward, the same way the other scientists have been doing since maybe 1800 1500 and up to this present. So there are lots of global problem as well we are facing. After all, to solve these problems, researchers are doing hard work to solve this issue and trying to give a positive vibe in our global community. So this is why we need to do research. From myself, I would like to suggest a thing. that everything has a advantage and the disadvantage as well. Some of the researchers works practice bad with technologies, and more or less researchers are involved with evils and make money this time. So the matter of fact is, does your research work is good for people, good for your country? It is being done for good purpose or good motive, or there is a chance of something really horrible purpose. So no matter what you are doing, I will personally encourage you to practice your research with a good purpose, with loyalty and the betterment for the future. And I would like to thank the audience for your valuable participation, and our keynote speaker, Dr. Muneeb sir, for your valuable presence and your time for us. If you this is our part two session. Our part one, the I will just let you to see this. We finished this webinar. So any audience, if you're interested on about this webinar, impactful research publication guideline, you can check this in our YouTube. I will send the YouTube link in our present Facebook event. So thank you, audience, and I really appreciate your presence. And I would like to thank again to Dr. Muneeb sir for your very great effort. You are very
For
generous and
having me.
very friendly to unleash the research work to the audience, and for us who are really interested in the research work. I really appreciate your time and effort, sir. So
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
anything about for us at the ending stage?
I guess you people are doing a great job, and that's what. And because it's my second interaction with you, and it's great to see that such institutes alongside universities are being are promoting this specific culture of research, and specifically some good quality research. So it's great to see, and hopefully it it will progress further, and
Inshallah.
we'll see more institutes and such culture more and more, inshallah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable words, and we'll see you soon, sir, inshallah. And I would like to welcome you to our country to visit Bangladesh and our
Sure,
institution,
inshallah.
actually.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Have a great time. You have a good day, sir. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, and assalamu alaikum to the audience.